Shalom, brothers and sisters. Grace, mercy, and peace be unto you from YAHUAH, our Father, and Yahushua. He is the Mashayah, the one that carries the burden of Yah, his voice, our high priest, soon coming king. Hear, O Yesharo, Yahuwah, our mighty one, he is one. This is Brother David coming to you again to bring you the only name under the sun, given amongst men, that you can be saved by. And his name is YAHUAH. The master of the universe, the creator of all things, said, "My people shall know my name." How do you know a thing? Don't you have to prove it? Don't you have to go into the ancient Hebrew script, learn the process of transliteration, and transliterate the name for yourself, just to make sure you got it right? Here's the question. Have you done that? Here's the next question. Do you have the ability to do that? Well, I'm here to aid you today. Teach you a few things about ancient Hebrew, so that you will learn the process of transliteration, transcribing, and phonetic sound. Let's begin. Hebrew vowels and English vowels. What are the Hebrew vowels? E, A, Wa, and Ya. There's 4 vowels in Hebrew. English: A, E, I, O, U, sometimes Y, and sometimes W. Have you noticed that I've given you 2 letters for each one of the vowels, so that you would have the phonetic pronunciation? If you note, in Hebrew, it's a very smooth language. YAHUAH. Okay, let's dive right in. Come down to where it says Ancient Semitic Hebrew. This brings something up. The Jews would say that if you say anything about them, that you are anti-Semitic. What if I were to tell you that there's no such thing? See, this word Semitic is really Shemitic, meaning from Shem. The Jews do not claim Shem. They claim Ashkenaz. Ashkenaz comes from Japhet. And we all know now what happened to Japhet in Europe. Who can claim to be a Shemitic people? On both sides. They say that Semitic means from the region and Shemitic means from Shem. Who can claim both of those descriptions? You and I. We come from sub-Saharan Africa. We were kidnapped and brought here in ships. And our names reflect ancient Shemitic Hebrew. Now come down to where it says middle. You see early, middle, late. The one that says middle is the language in which the Bible was translated from. All right. If you look in the first box, you'll see 2 letters there. The smaller one is e, and the bigger one is ah. What is the name? Well, L is not the name of the letter. L is a word. They're showing you how to use this letter in a word. What does L mean? Strong, power, leader. Mighty. What sound does it make? You see the box that says sound? Ah or eh. Now they could have given you an A or an E, but they're telling you that it's smooth. It's pronounced ah or eh. Go over to modern Hebrew. Modern Hebrew is the Jews. It is called Yiddish. It is a German dialect. It is not Hebrew. They say that the name of the letter is Aleph. Aleph. What sound does it make? They say it's silent. They are correct. L. See the name L? The word L that meant strong power leader? You don't hear the E. You just hear the L. Go over to Greek. Ancient, A. Modern, A. Latin, A. They didn't put an H after it. So it is pronounced the same way as you would pronounce the English vowels, with A-E if you want to show the phonetic spelling. Okay, come down to our second vowel. It's in box number 6. The name of this letter is a vowel. 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 That's how it's pronounced. But really, the letter is YAHUAH. You see, vowel is the name of the tent peg. What does it mean? Add, secure, hook. So if you want to know how to phonetically pronounce the letter, it would just be W with an ah sound at the end. Wah. How is the letter pronounced? Look under sound. The first letter that they give you to replicate the sound that this wah makes is a W. How do you pronounce the W? Woo. Woo. It tells you that a W is 2 U's. The next letter they say can replicate this sound is an O. But an O cannot replicate the sound. But if you give 2 O's together, what sound do you get? Ooh. Ooh. Then the last one is a U. The U is the only letter that can stand alone. It can replicate this ooh sound. How do you pronounce U? U. Do you hear the ooh in the end? Come over to where it says modern Hebrew. Let's go to the Jews. Let's see what they have to say. What is the name of this letter for them in Yiddish? Vav. Vav. This has nothing to do with Hebrew. This is their German dialect, and it's Yiddish. How is this letter pronounced? Look under sound. An orange. V. V. All right, go over to Greek. Ancient Greek says F. What does that mean? They don't have a letter in Greek to replicate the oo sound. Let me say it again, in case you missed it. They don't have a letter in Greek to replicate this oo sound. Brother David? Yes, Brother Dawood, go ahead. The Israelite brothers said that the Greeks are the ones who added the U to the Hebrew. You're telling us that there was no U in their language. That is correct. Look at their alphabet. The closest letter that they have to the U sound is an upsilon. Say it with me. Upsilon. How is it pronounced? But in the phonetic pronunciation, when you go to look it up, they're going to tell you it's E, as in B. So they didn't have a letter that represented an U sound. What about in modern Greek? No, they don't. What about in Latin? No, they don't. So when the brothers told us that there was no U in Hebrew, were they right? They were absolutely correct. Let me give you more information. There's no A, there's no E, there's no I, there's no O, there's no U, there's no Y, and there's no W. So why are we using these letters then, Brother David? Because I see the E or the A. Well, we're trying to transliterate the names or the words from Hebrew into English. In order to do that, we have to find a letter that is closest to the sound that we're trying to replicate from the Hebrew into English. But as you see here, the Greeks did not have a U, and the Latin did not have a U or an U sound in their language. Okay, so go back over to the YAHUAH. There's only one letter that you would use if you were to transcribe it, write it down on paper. Which letter would that be? The A or the W? It's the W. How would you pronounce the W? Woo. Woo. Go to any phonetics teacher on YouTube and type in the letter W and see how it's pronounced. And they're going to tell you it's pronounced woo. In order for us to get a phonetic pronunciation of the letter, we had to add an ah sound at the end. So now add the ah to the woo. How would it be pronounced? Wah. Wah. Take away the ah sound. Pronounce the letter again. Woo. Woo. Add the ah sound back in. Pronounce the letter. Wah. Wah. Now take away the oo sound from the W and still pronounce these two letters together. I said, take away the oo sound from the beginning. In order for you to make this W sound like woo, did you not have to form your lips as though you're getting ready to whistle or give your wife a kiss? You can't form your lips that way because you're going to take away the oo sound. So pronounce this W and this A without the oo sound in the beginning. Okay, so what I just showed you, that it is totally impossible to pronounce the wah without the oo sound preceding it. Come down to our last vowel. It's in box number 10. The name is Yad. What does it mean? Hand, work, throw, worship. Go over to where it said middle, go over to early. In the ancient Paleo Hebrew, the pictograph Hebrew, what do they have there? An arm with an open hand, not a closed hand. I mean, you can see it's open, can't you? Yah, the master of the universe, stretched forth his hand to a stiff neck and unmovable people, the children of Yasharal. He is our deliverer. And we turned him down. But we're back. We're trying to rediscover our language and the pronunciation of his name, the way that he said that we would return in the last days and seek him out. Okay, so the name is Yad, which represents a hand that's open, an arm and an open hand. But how is this letter pronounced? Yah. One letter represents his name. He has a letter that represents his name in Hebrew. Will you take it out? Go over to sound. See sound in brown? Come down. They say it's going to make a Y sound. Y. Or it's going to make an E sound. E. Is that true? No, it's not true. In order for you to replicate this Yah, you have to add an ah sound at the end of this so-called Y, and you can pronounce it Yah. You see the phonetic pronunciation of the vowel up top? Capital Y, capital A. Yah. There is no E sound in Yah. Go over to modern Hebrew. Look what they gave you. Yud. Yud. Remember, this is Yiddish. It's a German dialect. Has nothing to do with Hebrew. What sound do they say it makes? Why? They didn't give you an ah in conjunction or you in conjunction. They said it is pronounced why. Go over to Greek. Ancient, I. Modern, I. What did the Jews say the sound is? Why. So here, they're bringing you into English here. You see how the phonetic spelling up top in the English vowels? Y, E. Y. It sounds like I. Do you understand? What I'm about to tell you is they don't have a letter like this that has that pronunciation. It's only in Hebrew. The closest letter that they can give you in their language is a Y or an I. We know that we can take this Y and put an ah sound at the end and it's become Yah. But just a Y standing alone or an I standing alone cannot replicate Yah. If you understood anything that I just told you, you will understand this. This is why in the 1611 KJV, they gave you I-E-S-U-S for the name of the Mashayah. How would you pronounce that? I-E-S-U-S? Most people would say Iesus, but it's not. When you go to the phonetic spelling, I want you to look it up now. It's very easy to look up. Just look up IESUS or Jesus, and they're going to tell you it's pronounced E, Yay, Sus. E, Yay, Su. Why did they do that? In the Greek language, they didn't have a Yah. In the Greek language, they didn't have a sh sound. In the Greek language, they didn't have a U, an U sound. So when they gave you Sus, they gave you two O's in the phonetic spelling. Look it up, you'll see for yourself. So what just happened? Lost in transliteration. Lost in translation. Didn't go to the Latin. They don't have a Yah, a letter that represents Yah also. Do you see? They have I, that's close to the Y. And then in the 1500s or so, they created a letter called the J. So in your Bible, in the KJV, they have Psalm 68, and they told you to give glory and praise to Jah. Not Yah, but Jah. See how close it is? And from this Jah, they were able to pretty much bring a close pronunciation to Then they gave you Jehovah or Jehovah, and they gave you Jesus. Again, lost in translation, lost in transliteration, because the languages that the Guyam have are totally inferior to Hebrew. Now here we are, thousands of years later, and we have a language now called English. And in the English language, you have all of the vowels and letters for you to replicate what came from Hebrew. Let me ask you a question. Now that they have the vowels and letters, did they correct themselves? The answer is no. Because it's not about correction. It's about replacement. Wikipedia. Let's have a short lesson on English. English is a West Germanic language. You got that? German. Of the Indo-European language family. We come from the Afro-Asiatic language family. Shemitic. They're not Shemitic at all. Originally spoken by the inhabitants of early medieval England. It is named after the Angles. Look like angels, doesn't it? One of the ancient Germanic peoples that migrated from Anglia, a peninsula on the Baltic Sea, not to be confused with East Anglia in England, to the area of Great Britain later named after them. England. The closest living relatives of English include Scots, followed by the Low Saxon and Frisian languages. While English is genealogically West Germanic, its vocabulary is also distinctively influenced by Old Norman, French, and Latin, as well as the Old Norse, a North Germanic language. speakers of English are called Anglophones. You're an Anglophone. The earliest forms of English, collectively known as Old English, evolved from a group of West Germanic, Ingvaeonic dialects brought to Great Britain by Anglo-Saxon settlers in the 5th century. So it was brought there in the 5th century and further mutated by Norse-speaking Viking settlers starting in the 8th and 9th centuries. What's happening? The language is evolving. Middle English began in the late 11th century after the Norman conquest of England, when considerable French, especially Old Norman, and Latin-derived vocabulary was incorporated into English over some 300 years. Okay, now let's speak about what we speak today. Early modern English, what you're speaking now, began in the 15th century. Isn't that incredible? This began in the 15th century. This language was getting ready for us. We were already being taken around the world in ships at this time. With the start of the great vowel shift and a Renaissance trend of borrowing further Latin and Greek words and roots in English. Do you see that? Concurrent with the introduction of the printing press to London, this era notably culminated in the King James Bible and plays of William Shakespeare. So modern English was not formulated really to the 15th century. And they borrowed just about from every European language and made one language. What is it called today? English. The language you speak. Note, English borrowed vowels, phrases, words, roots from all these different languages. So today, it is easy for you to transliterate from the Hebrew text into the English text because now we have all the letters. Did they do that? No. West Germanic languages. Skip the first two. Go to the last one. Ermenonic. Comes down, Old High German. Then it stems off from Old High German and it goes to Old Yiddish. Do you see that? Then it comes down to modern Yiddish. It's been years I've been telling you that Yiddish is a German dialect. Now I'm showing you through charts, Wikipedia. You can go even further if you like. Yiddish is German. And he mixed Hebrew words into it to make it official. Transliterate. Transliteration is to go to the Hebrew text, then go to the English text to find the corresponding letters in English that would match the pronunciation that the Hebrew letters would give. In other words, you're trying to find a letter with the same sound. Transcribe. After you find the letters and go through the phonetic pronunciation, then you write it down on paper. Phonetic sound. I've showed you how that works. I showed you the phonetic sound of the vowels. Here I'm going to show you how, when you're seeking out the way to pronounce a word, how you would write it on paper before you transcribe it. Okay, here's our first example. Kadusha Yam. There's the Hebrew script. I brought it into English. I've transliterated it, letter by letter. What does it mean? Saints. Brother David. Kadusha Yam equals saints. That is correct. I don't see a Q in saints, nor a D, nor a sh, nor a Y or an M. How did they transliterate this? They didn't. They bypassed that. What would they say? We translated it. It's supposed to mean the same thing, they say. It does not. The Kadusha Yam only applies to the children of Yesharo. So they weren't trying to give you the exact name. All they did was replace the name. And we've been calling ourselves what? Saints? For all these years? Could I tell you why they did not transliterate this name and put it in your Bible? And once I tell you this, you'll know why they didn't transliterate all the names of the Hebrews and put it in the Bible. It's too black. Too African American. It's too Afro-Asiatic. It's too Shemitic. If they would have put this name in the Bible, you would know that you and your ancestors were the people that were written about in this book, not them. Who else names their children Shaquan? What about Shakur? You know who that is, Tupac. Here's one you know, Shaka Zulu. Shaka. What about our brother who wrote all of these letters, the epistles? You call him Paul? His name is Shaul. What about the Mashaya? They gave you Messiah. You see, they took the Shah out even in that. These names are too Afro-Asiatic. It would show that they represent us. Go to the slave ship manifest, and you're going to see our people had Shah and Yah in their names. Brothers and sisters, that's why when we came here, they told us we had to change our name. Okay, let's go to the sisters. The sisters are blazing with Afro-Asiatic names. Latasha, Shaniqua. Here's a famous singer, Sade, Shakia, Shana, Aisha, Shania. Here's one, Shirah. In your Bible, they gave you Sarah. Her name was Shah-Ra. So they're not into transliteration. They're into replacing. They're into replacement theology. Take you out and put themselves in. Okay, so I want to understand how to pronunciate or pronounce Kadusha Yam. So I would write it Q-A-H, for the phonetic spelling. You'll see that the whole time while you're looking in Strong's. You're going to see the name, the phonetic spelling, the phonetic pronunciation, and then what they give you. Your phonetic pronunciation or your phonetic spelling should be the same as what you're going to transcribe and put on paper. For example, Kadusha Yam or Kadusha, which means saint, Q-A-H-D-O-O-S-H-A, saint, Kadusha. You can spell it with 2 U's also. Still, it'll give you the exact same sound. Now up top, I spelled it with 1 U. That's what I would transcribe. If I wanted to make it plural, I would say Kadusha Yam. Singular, Ka-du-sha. See, in my transcribing, I found one letter that has that U sound that can stand alone, and I won't have to use 2 U, 2 U's, or 2 O's. I can make it as simple and plain as possible, and still, even a layman can come in and pronounce this Ka-du-sha. Come down to the second word. You should know this word. Guyam. It's the white man. What did he give you? Gentile. The only letter that you have there is G. Did he transliterate it? No. What did he do? He replaced it. Guyam is too revealing. Goog, Magug, Gu, Yam, the whole people, in whole. They gave you Gentile, and you hear the word gentle men. Don't call yourself gentlemen. That's a Gentile man. That's not you. That applies to them. They're trying to make themselves seem docile, gentle. But the word is Guyam. If I'm going to give you the phonetic spelling, I'm going to spell it G-O-O-Y-A-M or G-U-U-Y-A-M, just so that you can teach those who are trying to learn the pronunciation how to pronounce it in English. Come down to the name that is above all names. YAHUAH. If I was going to transcribe it and put it on paper, I'm going to give you Y-A-H-U-A-H. The first one there, that's what I would give you. It's perfect. The U makes the U sound. And when you add the U and the A together, you will get the U and the Wa sound in one. YAHUAH. Do you see that? You see the H there? The Ha? It's followed by a Wa, a vowel. If I wanted to give you the phonetic transliteration, so you can get the phonetic sound, I would give you Ya, Hu, 2 O's, and W-A-H at the end, Wa. YAHUAH. Or 2 U's with a W-A-H at the end. YAHUAH. 2 different spellings. Matter of fact, 3 different spellings. But the same phonetic pronunciation. Which one would you write down on paper when you transcribe it? the shorter version. Now on the bottom, here's the next one. YAHUAH. It's what the Israelite brothers gave us. Totally wrong. They dismissed with the vowel that comes directly after the hey or the ha. Yeah. See, when there's a vowel that precedes another letter, you don't add an Aleph. You use the vowel that precedes it. What would that vowel be? Ooh. It's the W makes the ooh sound. They bypassed that because they said that there's only ah. So there's no U in Hebrew, which there isn't. But that is not the issue. It's not a U, it's a oo sound. All right, so this is their phonetic spelling, YAHAWAH. But yet, in their pronunciation, they don't pronounce it the same as the phonetic spelling. How would the phonetic spelling be pronounced? YAHUAH. They pronounce it YAHUAH with an O. So they pronounce it different than the way they spell it. Is that the way it works? No. So I'm showing you why YAHUAH is the only transliteration that is absolute perfection. Listen, you have the oo and the wah in one. YAHUAH. The breath of life. Ruah. We're speaking perfection. Don't join in with cliques. You know, you're joining people because you want to be an Israelite. No. You're trying to join the family of Yeshua to rediscover our language, to rediscover all that's been ripped from us by the Guyab. Now, we're supposed to be together, but it's impossible to be together when you have a people who have just totally bypassed anything that has to do with academics or study. They just came from the imagination of their mind. Don't you do that. Continue to part 2. Shalom.